Hey YouTube, it's Dave with the Home Server Show. I'm joined tonight with Mr. Jim. He's enjoying Leinenkugel. Mr. Kevin Schoonover right here. And Mr. Mike Fauché. I'm David McCabe. I'm your host tonight. This is an audio podcast, but we do record it on YouTube for the meeting effects, right? But it ends up on YouTube as an hour-and-a-half video. So don't expect this to be a quick review of any of the products that we're talking about. But if you head over to homeservershow.com/forums, you can find us talking about them in depth and at great length. So would love to see you over there. Okay, we're going to hit the big button. We're going to start. This is the Home Server Show, episode number 294, recorded on January the 20th, 2016. Welcome back to the Home Server Show. I'm your host, David McCabe. Got a big panel to help me out tonight. Got Mr. Jim Collison. He's back from the left coast. How are you doing, Jim?
Greetings, Dave. Good to be back after about 30 days away, I think, from Home Server Show. It's been a while since we've done this.
A month.
Good to be back.
Everybody around me always is reminding me that I have not podcasted.
Maybe 40 days, I think, actually, as I look. December 11th, I think, was the last one.
It's been a while.
So, good to be back with everybody.
Good. I wanted to make sure we had a big team tonight, so I invited Mr. Kevin Schoonover. How you doing tonight, Kevin?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. We're going to talk about some CES, and I know Kevin has got some questions for me, so that's going to be kind of chat about that. Mr. Mike Fauché, how are you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm doing good, Dave. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back, and I know it's been a while, but we are back. We are in the chairs, and I'm going to tell you about what's been going on, and you will be up to date as usual. But don't forget that this podcast is a member of the Geeks Network, thegeeksnetwork.com. So a favorite podcast out there of mine is Smart Home HQ. Check out smarthomehq.net. And you can listen to Chris talk about all things home automation. Although this last time he kind of went off on CES, talking about how CES is all kinds of fodder and things that don't show up at market, and that is somewhat true. But it is also the reverse of that. It is a fantastic show to attend and to see what is coming to market, because little did you know, a lot of that stuff does come to market, and it's a great place to get caught up and catch up on the great things coming out. So tonight is our CES wrap-up. We will refer back to it several times, but the last couple of years we've tried to get CES out of the way, talk about it once, and then for the most part, let's just forget about it and we move on. So that's what we try to do, but we will refer back to it. So I know you see CES in the title, and you're like, oh my God, I've had enough of CES. You people stop publishing garbage about CES. We know you went. Get over it. So I feel the same way. And we will.
Dave, we used to make such a bigger deal about it. That's the thing, right?
We did. And I would go out there and we would broadcast live, and we'd be worried about posting. We'd stress ourselves out. And I tell you what, guys, this year was the best CES that I've ever experienced. And I think it's partly in because I shortened it. I told you guys I was going to shorten it. I shortened it by a day in the beginning, and I shortened it by a day at the end. I'm getting smarter about where I stay and how I get to the different venues. So this year, I don't know if I told you this, I stayed at the Flamingo. I stayed 2 nights at Flamingo, and that allows me to walk to the Venetian Sands. And so I practically park and I'm done, although I drive at night to different hotels for parties and meetings and whatnot. And then I move off strip, or I try to get like a cheaper hotel, and then I always come back to Circus. I park at Circus, I walk through the casino, I get a coffee at the Krispy Kreme, I jump on the bus. It's like 10 minutes from Circus to the South Hall. The South Hall. And when I'm done there, while everybody else is waiting in line for the buses and the cabs and the Ubers, I walk back to Circus, and I measured it this time on Microsoft Band, and it was like 1.36 miles, and I did it pretty quickly. I was a really swift pace, but I got quite a few steps. But it was fun, and that way I can get back. I know right where the bathroom is at Circus. There's a McDonald's over there too, and if I'm feeling really on edge, there's slots of fun just right there. I can stop.
You can just jump in, stop in, and throw some nickels in there at Circus. It's interesting. I got a lot of people asking me, are you guys going to cover it? Are you doing, because the last couple years we did hours worth of coverage from right here from the studio, and I just, the outlets, the media outlets have taken over, and I don't know, you got a lot of value out of it because I think you went back old school, not trying to broadcast from everywhere you went, not trying to do all the things that we used to do. There's so many groups doing that now. You can really stay up with the CES coverage pretty easily, and none of the big guys are there anymore. Microsoft's gone, Google's gone, Amazon, they're not doing anything there. Apple is not doing anything there, and so you're kind of left with the rest. I imagine Intel still
the
shows
good stuff.
Up. Well, maybe so. Maybe so.
It's such a different show now. It is such a different show. I start at the Venetian, and I start at those little guys, those guys that are scrapping and trying to get noticed. And we're talking about like the home automation guys. And we're talking about, the fitness guys and the 3D printing. I mean, you talk about crazy stuff. The Bosch booth, we're talking BOSCH, if I can pronounce it right. These guys make everything, right? They had a robot that would, you would write your, whatever you wanted to write. I wrote my name, it was on a Surface Pro 3. In front of the booth. You wrote your name and you hit go, and a robot arm would come out, pick up a cup, take the cup, put it in front of this wacky printer. It was no contact. It made zero contact. It would print your name on the cup, and then it would pick the cup up again, change its grip on it, and move it over to an espresso machine, and it would make you an espresso. And then it would bring the cup back to a proctor, because it didn't want to sling a hot espresso on you. And it would hand it to her, and she would call your name, and you would grab your espresso. It was really cool. I mean, things like that happen at CES. It's not just look at the brand new 4K TV, right? And like the 3D printing area. It's fantastic. It's easy to just walk in there and get lost within your own interests, right? Out of the boundaries of the sites that you cover, Home Server Show and Surface Geeks and all that stuff. You get interested. And like I said, this was the best CES ever for me. And it's because I shortened it. I felt better. Actually, I was sick the first day. But in general, I felt better. I planned it very well. I didn't overload my day with interviews. I wasn't walking around with gear. And as you mentioned, Jim, when we first started this, we came up with a portable studio, a portable live streaming studio. And I had it on a monopole, a stick, and I had batteries hanging off of it, and I had a microphone in my hand. And people were so interested in what I was holding, they would stop me. I remember I can't remember, it was some overseas, like a Puerto Rico guy, stopped me and said, "Can I interview you? What is this?"
Yeah.
It was so amazing, and now it's left and right. You see everybody doing it. I mean, we definitely pushed the envelope years ago, and I don't want to do that again. I mean, I'm getting hoarse right now for talking for 10 minutes, and we used to do it, from 8 a.m. to midnight back in the day.
So how many people did you run into who stopped squarely in front of you and started doing a periscope? I ran into so many threads of people who, it was just like something cool would happen at CES, and all of a sudden you'd see 5 different periscope or meerkat things pop up.
Yes. Another way that mobile technology has changed how we cover. And I told myself I could easily do the whole thing via Periscope to 4 or 5 people at a time. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not stopping what I'm doing, and I'm not stopping, the conversations I'm having with real people without, doing, this, covering it and then tippy, 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 and doing that. Yeah, did not do it. I did one Periscope. One Periscope. I was at Mike Fauche's favorite place. What's your casino, Mike?
Caesars.
Caesars. I knew it. And I was out in front of the Omnia. It's a nightclub. And I had some time to waste. Not necessarily waste, but, I'm early. And I thought, I need a drink. I'm not going to pay for it, though. Instead of paying $5 for a drink, I'll throw $20 into a machine. Yeah, there's my logic, right? I threw $20 into a machine, and I started a Periscope. And I just put in, help me waste $20 at Caesars. And then, boom, I'm up to $40. So I get my drink. I'm just playing. At this point, it's a quarter machine. So I'm running 5 lines, right? So I'm a high roller, $1.25 here. A pull, $1.25 a pull. High roller, and then all of a sudden the wheels and the lights start spinning like mad. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And I won $190
Nice.
live on Periscope, and I was happy. I was like, yay! I want some money. So that was the night I went to the New Eggies, the Eggies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a New Eggs award show. So they give out awards to like their biggest partners and things like that, and vendors like MSI and Dell and HP. Lot of big people are at that party, and they serve fantastic food. So I always go. If I get the invite, I go back. So I think I owe that to you guys that listen. Home Server Show. I'm sure they measure their traffic, and they see a lot of clicks coming from Home Server Show, and they're like, Dave, come have some free food. We appreciate you. So I owe you guys for that fantastic meal that New Egg serves us. But again, I had a great CES. I enjoyed it. Now, I did something so extreme this year that I think it's worth mentioning. I went completely bagless. Bagless. No laptop, no notebooks, no nothing. I tried to wear pants with mini pockets. Don't get me wrong. I took stuff. I took my Nexus 6P for communications on Project Fi, and then I also took it's a 650, a Lumia 650, as my camera. Can't reach it. This little guy right here. This little Microsoft phone was my camera, and I absolutely enjoyed the heck out of carrying this as my camera, and it saved me so much screen on time from my phone. My phone was my communications device. Now I took this as my camera, and I want to give you one major reason is as I pop off the back cover here for you YouTubers. It has right there by the SIM slot, SD card slot. I slap a 64 gig in there, and I can video all day long, and I absolutely loved it. I love the fact that I can do that with a $39 camera with an 8 megapixel shooter. It's actually a good camera. It's a really good camera. $40 for this. I did take batteries. I would slip a battery into a pocket and take that, and I would have a big stack of business cards. Now, I always came home with a bag. Don't get me wrong. I always, somehow you manage to pick up stuff, and I'm going to just scoop them up right here. This is a big stack of, USB keys, and that's half of it. This is the one you're seeing from Dish Network. It's shaped like a couch. So
The Hoppa?
The Hoppa. So probably at Meetup, somebody's going to win one of these Dish Network USB couches. So beware.
Are we gonna do a meetup, Dave? Are we already talking about that?
I think we have to do Meetup. We have to do Meetup. As good as the last one was, we got to do Meetup.
I think it's CES that always ignites the meetup conversation. You come back from CES and we start talking.
I picked up a lot of giveaway, I would say crap, but good stuff.
No, it's crap.
CES
It's crap.
to give away at Meetup. Yeah, it's crap. So I had a good time. I know that I owed you guys, a little bit of follow up on that, and we usually talk about. Is my camera suffering? Someone said.
That's an old post. In the very beginning, it was just skipping a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think you're good now.
I did have some stuttering earlier, and I feel stuttering a little bit now, and it's Chrome. So there's nothing I can do about that now. But hey, we shoot this for the audio, not the video, so I apologize. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can always go to homeservershow.com/live and chat with us and ask questions. I wanted to update everybody on one thing back here. I have, if you can't see it, it's a scanner by Neat. If you've never heard of Neat, they have a scanner product. Sorry, talk to the mic. They have a scanner product that is fantastic. I mean, this thing is quite fantastic. And I kind of owe Neat an apology. I've had this thing for like 3 months, and I've done crap for reviews on it, right? Zilch. I did it.
You had it at the meetup.
I did. We did show it to the meetup, folks, didn't we?
Yeah, I was at the meetup.
Okay, so I've had it since September. Whoops. It's been great through buying a house. And I wanted to mention that because I'm going to tell you about moving Home Server Show headquarters here in a bit. But this thing has helped me so much in buying a house. You can literally, without the software that comes with it, without the subscription software that comes with it, you can go to the scanner and you can preload email addresses, right? So you can do it like from. So I can drop a piece of paper in there and scan it and email it directly from the machine from me. So from your address. I use a Google address, okay? It also, you can preload addresses to send to. So I can drop a piece of paper in there and send to another address, and I said the first one wrong, but yeah, you can drop a piece of paper in there and send it to anybody straight from the machine. You can type it in on a little keyboard on the screen, and boom, it goes straight from the scanner. Or you can put a piece of paper in, or 15 sheets for that matter, and then email it to yourself instantly. Just bam, instantly. And it also has buttons for like Evernote. It has some other stuff. There's a folder inside the scanner. You can just drop it to the scanner and hold it there, and then come back and email it if you want to. It's fantastic for that. So anytime there would be a piece of paper show up for the house, or someone would, the bank would say, we need this information, your utility bills from, 2007. You know how the banks get. We just drop it right in and bam, shoot it over to them. Done.
I think the one drawback to that has just been the price on that. The unit's fairly expensive when you.
It is.
You're talking $200 or $300, maybe up to $4 for those units. But we tested those at the meetup, and if you like that idea of just dropping the docs in and have it just do it right, it does it really, really well.
It does.
So it's worth it. If you do a lot of that, I think it's probably worth it.
It sucks it in so fast it will blow your mind. I did some taxes, and I unstapled some older taxes and dropped it into the scanner and converted it to a PDF in like no time flat. And I used to do this with, like a 3-in-1 printer, right? So you'd pull the top up, put the sheet of paper down, scan it, and then wait, and it would take forever. And if you wanted to do 10 pages, you'd be there forever. And this thing, no way. You drop your sheets in there, and then you hit scan and go. You just walk away, and it does it, and it just shows up.
Hey,
Now,
Dave, that's the Connect, right? Which model is that?
as I just unplugged it. This is, yeah, it's the Neat Connect.
Okay.
It's just a high-end version of it because it has a touch screen on the front.
Hmm.
It looks just like an older iPhone, and it also has pre-cut slots for business cards and receipts. So when it scans a receipt, it scans the full length of it as I drop it. But it's really cool if you go like grocery shopping and you have a receipt that's, literally 3 feet long, and it just sucks it in like crazy, like really fast. And it has some built-in smarts to the scanner that a lot of other scanners don't have. Like a receipt can get crumpledy and it can get illegible. If you get it wet, a receipt is garbage. Well, this thing kind of fixes all that. And that's where the power is behind it. There's a lot of software. So you subscribe to a software service, and those scans go into the cloud, and then you're able to go out there and sort them, classify them, and search. So when I was testing it, I didn't test a whole lot with the cloud, and that's where I kind of erred on for these Neat guys, and that's where they're getting my apology now. Is I scanned in a Kohl's receipt amongst a bunch of other ones, and I did it on purpose because I went back and I searched Skechers, right? Who hasn't bought a pair of Skechers from Kohl's here? You all should be raising your hand if you have a Kohl's, because you have bought a pair of Skechers from Kohl's. So I just searched for that word Skechers, and boom, it popped up with that Kohl's receipt, which was really kind of cool. So that shows that you can remember a store. You can search by Kohl's. You can say, oh, was it Target? Search by Target. It'll show you all the Target receipts, and you can search by item, which is pretty cool. So the power is in the software. So here's what I've done. I've had this thing way too long, and I got a coupon code in email. It says, hey, please resubscribe. So my trial ran out, right? And what I want to do is I'm going to take 2016, and I've subscribed to their service. So I paid money, subscribed to the service, and I'm going to do my business on the scanner. I'm going to run every document through the scanner and put it to the cloud and see if it makes me a better small business person having that in there, because I'm horrible. I've got a stack of paper in my closet that's a mile long. I hope it makes me more efficient. So I wanted to tell you about that. It's a great scanner. I'm going to test the software. How about that? That seems to be what everybody is. You either like it or you hate it, right? Everybody likes the scanners. I think they're built by Fujitsu, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there.
With your 640, have you tried Office Lens in the same capacity to see if that, on a Windows phone, that's supposed to be a pretty good, when we think about just snap a picture, it brings it in, does some OCR, and moves it up to the cloud automatically. Have you messed with that?
It is fantastic. Office Lens is fantastic app for one shot.
Yeah.
This thing, I can throw in the whole week of work, paperwork, receipts, and business cards, and hit go and walk away. And it sucks it in, spits it out. And I can file all that stuff in a box, and then later, at my leisure, go to the software and do what I want with it, right? Office Lens is great for one-offs. But if you've got a thick thing of, like I said, tax documents to scan, this thing is what you're looking for. Okay, back to CES. My main reason to go into CES was personal. I'm getting a new house, and I want to do certain things at this new house, and also for the sites and the podcasts. A lot of it home automation based. wireless networking, home networking, all that kind of good stuff, and storage. I did talk with Synology and QNAP, but I put out there in one of my forums, I think it was Home Server Show, that I would like to assemble a review team. If you are interested, if you're a listener of Home Server Show, you participate on the forums, and you think that you would be up for writing reviews, maybe we need to talk. Podcast@homeservershow.com is my address. We can talk about maybe getting you started in reviewing. I tend to lean towards the folks that have either kind of worked for us in the past, like Mr. Fauché, Mr. Schoonover, Mr. Stutzman, all these guys who are very active in the forums, Chris Kinney, Vinyl Freak, Yoda, all these guys that are out there, Tony Rayner, moderators. I tend to go to them first, but I still would like to assemble a review team if you could, put some eyes on some product and be willing to write. We're talking about writing words on paper. We're going to do that because I can't do it all. That's been one of my faults, and especially with this thing. I probably had no business taking this thing as a review. I did not have the bandwidth in which to process it properly and review it, right? So that's just me admitting fault in my 2015 year, and 2016 is shaping up to be the same way. So we're gonna fix all that. Speaking of 2016, I shot a ton of video at CES, and not just me at booths and talking stuff, just in general, just different like little life events, right? And I've already got some videos stacked up. I've got an unboxing waiting to be processed. I've got another video, the one I do where the stuff that I brought home from CES. I did one last year. If you go to youtube.com/homeservershow and just search CES, and you'll see that video. It's got only 400 views on it, but I had fun with it, and you just see all the crud that I brought home from CES. I did another one, and it's going to be little videos like that I'm going to try to start putting more effort into production, into mixing, and giving you a different look at some of this stuff and myself in general. So 2016 is probably going to be something like that. You guys are talking about there on the chat room. Okay.
They're trying to talk me into a meetup here in Omaha. That's what they're trying to do.
We should do a meetup in Omaha.
No, we shouldn't do a meetup in Omaha. You know how much work those things are? It sounds great on the surface. That's like, Mike, should we do a meetup in LA? We can just get everybody together. I'm sure you've got plenty of time to put a meetup together in the LA area, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot of work, Dave. You do a labor of love on those things. They sound fun on the surface.
I'd like to move it to spring. I think a spring up would be great, but you guys seem to be stuck with September.
I'd go for spring. Well, maybe not this year.
I'm afraid we wouldn't get that many to show up this spring if we did it. Now, if we waited an entire year and did it next April.
Why don't you do LA in the summer? That's always good.
It's the time to do it.
Yeah, we'll do an outdoor one when it's 110 degrees. Yeah.
Hey, it'll be under a tarp. It's dry heat.
Yeah,
right?
it's dry heat, right?
Or Minneapolis.
We have a facility.
Minneapolis
in the winter.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just keep it in September here. We seem to be doing fairly well.
I agree.
All right, so this is a podcast about home storage, home networking, home automation, yada yada. I got a story for you about backups, and if ever you doubt yourself with backups, because I know there's some of you folks out there. I used to be in the same boat. You've done backups for years, right? and you've never had a test, right? When have you truly had one of those, oh, curse word moments? I am screwed. Go to the backup. Go test the backup. When have you had a double test of, oh my God, my first backup has failed? Go to my second option. A lot of us have never been in that situation. And I'll just ask you three guys. We'll go down the row. Jim, I know you've deleted some stuff in your life.
Oh, yeah.
I know you've been tested, but
oh, yeah.
It doesn't come every other week, right?
No. Maybe twice a year.
It's out of the
once
blue,
or twice.
isn't it?
And it is. In the time I really needed it, I lost it. One of those type of situations where the PCs went down, and then I lost my home server at the same time, and I did one install instead of another, and I wiped it out, and that file was nowhere else. I've stopped all that silliness now because we move everything to the cloud for the most part. So, those kinds of things have gone away. But no, I just upgraded actually. Sarah's. We bought one of those Dell 3050s, small micro computers, and the 32 gig it came with is just not enough. And so I bought a 128 gig M2 card to go in there to replace it. And Dave, I was kind of like a home server or a Cronus. That was kind of those were my choices. And I thought, well, it's been a while since I've used a Cronus. So I bought a copy of a Cronus. I always have kept a copy of a Cronus just around, just so I could talk about it. And used a Cronus, backed it up, threw it onto, what did I do? Where did I put it? I think I put it on I think I plugged in a USB drive to back it up too. Pulled it back down, put the new drive in, pushed it back, fired right up. That's bare metal, my friend, and that worked really, really well. Whereas if I'd have done that with the home server, I'm not
Spend
sure.
the first hour configuring it, and then
yeah. So it's
right.
No, it's one of those things. So for me now, is that a solid backup that I have running all the time? No, I don't. I'm not. I didn't keep the backup going. It worked really well. So there's my example.
Jim, just a suggestion, because that's kind of the philosophy I'm using. You can actually set a Cronus to do an automatic schedule, and if that unit, which I'm assuming it is, attached to a network somewhere, after you do your initial backup, your incrementals are really, really small.
Yeah.
And you can back up to your Synology or whatever you're using.
I think it goes to the
Drobo, yeah. I mean, anything, it's pretty painless. It does it in the background, so you can still continue your backups, weekly or whatever you want to do.
And the tool to create the boot stick is actually really simple and very easy to set up, and it just works. And you're right.
Yeah, it's
Mike,
really slick. Yeah.
You're right. I think, and I'm trying to remember. See, I bought 2 copies. The Cronus was running a deal at Christmas. Buy the upgrade, you get a second copy for free or something like that. So I picked that up. And I've been running that on the Surface because that's kind of where I wanted to do it. But then I needed it, so I deactivated it from the Surface and put it on my wife's computer. And I maybe it's still there. I have to go back and. I was just so happy, to be honest. I was just so happy it worked in under an hour. I was like, unbelievable. I can't believe this thing is fired up. And one of the scary moments, you fire that thing up, and the 32 gig partition it only sees 32 gig. And you're like, oh, well, shoot, what do I get? What do I do now? Well, you just go into the disk management tool and blow that thing out to the 128 and fire it right back up, and all the disk was available. So,
the thing that impresses me the most about a Cronus is the speed. It's actually really, really fast. I don't know what the hell they do, but it's even if you do, because I use their drive cloning utility all the time, and some swapping drives all the time. So. Their drive cloning utility is just phenomenal. It's just it's super quick. You wonder, did it really copy all of that? Or did it just leave half of it off? Yeah.
You're a little skeptical when it gets done. That was the thing. I started it mid evening after dinner, and I was like, prepared to be up most of the night getting this thing done. And an hour later, I was done, and I tested it, and I was like, okay, I think it's one of those things you almost don't trust it. It's so fast. You're like, I think it's done. Let me know if there's problems. It can't be that good, but it really did work for me. So Dave, there you go. There's my story.
Yeah. So.
But I don't use their cloud, right? I pushed for cloud. I pushed out a crash plan. So like I'm using a Acronis local to the Drobo, and then using Crash Plan up to the cloud using two different solutions. And I've kind of quit on the home servers are just keeping files. They're file stores.
File stores. Kevin, have you run into anything where, what has been like an interval for you for oh my God moments?
I think the one, and luckily I had a backup of it, but the one that comes to mind is when people do swap out drives or do a drive copy, and that question comes up in the forum a lot, and I always tell people to back it up beforehand. And just a few months ago, swapping out a drive on a laptop, had done a backup, was using a copy to, for whatever reason the copy wasn't working well due to the format on the drive. And when I went to look at the little USB drive that I had helped them make a copy on, for whatever reason, that was not a clean backup. It had looked like it was a clean backup, but had we had to have recovered from that drive, we'd have been in trouble. But the good news is I'd made an image over to my server on it. And I know you guys use Acronis, but I'm a Macrium Reflect guy. Acronis is probably a little bit faster, but Macrium seems to work quite well. And but yeah, that was a case where had I been advising somebody on the forum to make a backup copy of their stuff beforehand, even though I had that good feeling that I had done that. Luckily, I had a second backup on a server that was fully there and ready to go.
Yeah, it seems that our mistakes are usually our own mistakes and not hardware driven a whole lot. It's usually us, deleting the wrong drive, loading up the wrong thing. We're our own worst enemy. But so my uh-oh moment here is you guys hear me talking about WordPress and backing up all the time. Well, I've got these websites, so I kind of have to extend my backup strategy, out there to the websites. Imagine, if this ever happened, if like the home server show forums just went away, boom, gone. That's a lot of posts. It's a lot of information. A lot of my livelihood would be gone at that point, right? So I have to be diligent in my backups, and I have to check them, and I have to go out and make sure I can find them. So I back up a lot of WordPress. I back up a lot of my SQL data, and I'm probably not the best person at doing it, but I do back it up. So what I do is I do some backups out there on the server, and then I have my home pull those backups down. So I have that going right now on the QNAP. On my Synology, where the Synology goes out there, grabs the files, and then brings them back home and then sorts them. It's really kind of cool. The little, just kind of like batch files, just literally just batch files running the sort operation here at home. And so WordPress 4.4 came out a couple of months ago, I guess, and it broke updates. So you could not update your plugins, which was a pain in the butt. So they said, we will fix that. We will fix that in 4.4.1. So finally, 4.4.1 comes out. Well, guess what? The update engine also broke the ability of WordPress to update itself. So you could not go into the dashboard and click upgrade, which is really handy, and you couldn't do it. So you had to go out and do FTP. Well, you're just opening yourself up to mistakes when you grab a folder and overwrite all this other stuff. And technically what you should do, this is like one of the scariest moments for a website owner, but what you're supposed to do, upgrading WordPress, is, of course, do your backups. Second is take the folders like WP admin and delete it. All of the like the PHP files you delete. Now what you don't delete is your content. You don't delete the SQL database. You don't delete your plugins. You don't delete your themes. You leave those intact. In your images, there's a folder where you keep all your images. But you delete all the structure, WordPress, and then you overwrite the new structure, and then you turn it back on. Boom, all done. I had done that. TheGeeksNetwork.com, SurfaceGeeks.com. I have another site called Geek.fund, and I have McCabe.io. 4 sites upgraded. Flawless, right? I got the home server show. Bread and butter of this entire operation. And the first thing I did wrong, I was getting complacent, is I didn't. Usually what I do is in FTP, I grab everything and I pull it down, right, into one folder. So if I screw anything up, I can just grab the file and throw it back up, right? In the end, I can just grab everything, throw it back up, put it back to the old way. At least it's working. So I didn't do that operation. I didn't grab everything, pull it down to my computer via FTP, and make a copy of it. What I started doing was grabbing the directories in the WordPress and hitting delete, wiping them out. Well, when you do that on a server, Linux server out there, it's done. It's gone. It is gone. There's a couple of files that you keep when you're doing WordPress. I know I'm going into too much detail. WordPress. You save your WP config file. It has a lot of code specific to your site. You save that. You also save, if you've done some extra stuff, your .htaccess. That's a web server file. Tells you all kinds of things to do safety and security wise in your website, not just for WordPress. Well, what I didn't do is I didn't save that file, .htaccess. Well, so the upgrade happens. I overwrite all the files, and then what I do is I go out homeservershow.com, hit enter, and it says it brings up the static page. Looks good. Looks good. We always test. You have to go down deep, right? Click a link, 404. Not even 404, blank site. You click anything. You click a page called, you click the schedule button, the live button, everything is error, error, error. Well, what the .htaccess file does is it does something for you called directory rewrites. So if you do something, if you do something on that, we have an audience behind Kevin. You change the directory structure of your website. The .htaccess handles that. So what happens every time you click, it reads through there and it gives you the proper directory structure for the post. If that file's not there, your web server doesn't work. It took me a little bit to figure out what's going on. I thought I really broke WordPress, but in fact I didn't. I just deleted that file. Well, what I ended up doing is I went to the Synology that has all my backups to it. I went to the last full backup. I don't make full backups every day because it would kill the server. And I unzipped it because it's a big file. It's over a gig, but it's a full backup, right? And it has that .htaccess in it. I unzipped it, pulled the .htaccess to the desktop, and then dropped it onto the web server. Boom, it's back alive. Now, I've been doing those backups for how many years? 3-4 years now? Seriously, like this, pulling them down local and not storing them out on the cloud, and never once really used it. But in this one case, I needed one file from a backup from my entire web server to work for homeservershow.com, and I got it. It went from pure terror to that holy crap, everything I've been preaching since 2008 just came to a head right there. It worked. And can you imagine, can you imagine my embarrassment if I come to you guys and say, I just blew away homeservershow.com. We just got to redo all the posts, fellas. I'm sorry. We
You
just
just
got
have to give up, Dave. You'd be like, I'm
I'd
out.
be done. I'd be like,
double tap, I'm out.
I changed my mind. Screw this. I'm out of here. Turn off the web server. Yeah, I wouldn't admit it. But that's what happened. I borked the site and went to a backup. I went to a backup. It felt good. It felt good to actually make a mistake and to have my butt covered by a backup that I've been doing for years. So that's a lot of talk. Is there anything else we can talk about? How about CES? You guys have any questions about CES?
So, what was your biggest surprise at CES?
Oh wow, biggest surprise. I have their USB stick right here. If you're watching on video, you can see a company by the name of Fibaro. I did not know the extent of the products of Fibaro, Fibaro. Completely blown away by these guys. Loved their products, and I'm hoping when I move into my new house, I didn't even tell you about the move. I was supposed to. It's on my list. That I can take in some of these products right here. Fibaro. I can't wait.
Aren't they the guys behind? They do other people's hubs, correct?
They do. They do a lot of that, but they also do their own sensors. So
Yep.
they have.
Yeah, they have a broad sensor offering product line.
Right, and they have a touch screen. They have a touch screen that you can put in your house and have it do scenes and things for you. And you know, when I'm talking home automation, my base of home automation is Z-Wave and Zigbee. So I'm kind of a smart things guy. I know PC Doc, Mike Fauché, you're an Insteon guy. You have the, what do we call that thing, the PSY or the ISY or I something Insteon.
Yeah, it's the ISY 994. Yeah, the somewhat not very current controller, but it's still a workhorse.
But quite capable still.
Oh yeah.
I read about it all the time. Very quite capable, and Insteon's killing it lately. With let's see, they've added everything. I mean, you want to compare any hub nowadays, Insteon is there in the comparisons with like adding Echo, right? Adding Amazon. Another surprise is how I was really kind of taken back by how like Amazon won this thing, right? Last year and the year before, it was works with Nest. That's what you wanted to see from these companies, right? Every single one of these companies had a Nest thermostat somewhere in their booth, and most of them very prominently in their booth. When you walked by or you walked in, you saw the Nest. You saw the We Work with Nest. That was the thing. Nest won. This year was Echo. Amazon Echo. Everything was Amazon Echo.
Well, I think I think everybody looks at it's the numbers. It's the sheer numbers of having something in people's homes that you can talk to that actually works. I think the same thing will probably happen when HomeKit actually works, and I think we'll see a pretty heavy migration to Bluetooth LE when that occurs. So it's a lot of momentum around numbers, but it is good to see how quickly they made that transition.
I began to see the Echoes show up like at Home Depot, and that's when I kind of knew, like, okay. I mean, they had pallets of them in our Lowe's. I think maybe it was Lowe's, but they had pallets of them. I thought, okay, we're there if they're able to push this many of them in the average consumer and get it. And I'm just surprised at how well it works and how well it integrates. And with everybody I talk to who's done the lighting on it go, yeah, it works. I just talk to it and it sets it up and it works. And
Yeah,
I've had some
absolutely.
issues. I've got some issues where kids still turn the light switches off and things like that. But that's always human error. It works great for us for a lot of the things that it does. So I think we'll see. I think 2016 is going to be the year of. 2015 was already a lot of integrations into the Echo. I think we're going to see some really significant ones come this year in 2016. It's just, and then I think we see a refresh of the Echo, too, a hardware refresh.
I'm sure they're going to have an additional model. I actually, that's a product that just kind of surprised me all the way around, because I kind of bought it out of not a bet, but sort of like, gee, I think I'll give this a shot, not really expecting to like it. And for me, it's been not only an interesting process, but the integration to the home automation has been actually really useful. I mean, yeah. I'm going crazy with the thing now. I've already had a couple posts, and I'm actually getting a lot of use out of it. I mean, actually everyday use, not just, gee, this is great, I can do something and then put it on the shelf. We're actually using the thing every single day, so it's surprised me. I mean, I didn't expect to like it, to be honest, because voice stuff hasn't really done it for me. I mean, I use Siri once in a while, only when I'm driving, and Cortana I don't use very much at all. Not because it doesn't work, just because it's just not some way I actually do something on the laptop. But in the home environment, in the proper environment, or the proper scenario, it really works really well. I'm actually working on getting the second one and possibly a third one right now, because in what I've been able to accomplish with it and some of the functionality I've implemented with it, I could see this growing. But obviously, the way I have it set up right now, it's in my living room, or my family room kitchen area, and it kind of just stays there. So it covers that whole area real well, including the hallways and such, outdoors, pool filling, irrigation, all that stuff. But I want to be able to take it and go beyond that and cover the other, parts of the house. So it's a neat tool. I expect to do a whole lot more with it.
Yeah, agreed. Echo has really become a center of our kitchen area. My boys, every day before they go to school, they ask it, what the weather's going to be like. And lately, you can literally ask it, if I say her, if it's going to snow today or if it's going to snow tomorrow, and she'll say, no, there's no snow in the forecast for today. And so it really has become quite a tool. We have lighting scenes set up for it. Turn this on, turn that on. They love asking, of course, tell me a joke. But for cooking, for timers, it's very, very helpful. And the one thing that I was really surprised by, I went, I think I was at a PepCom, which is a show prior to CES, a very valuable show to attend. And Uma was there. The Uma table was sitting there. I saw the familiar-looking Uma voice control voicemail box. Now, Uma is a home phone service that I personally use. I think Paul Breran referred me, got me hooked on it. I pay $3-4 a month for home phone service. I have a phone number local here and 911 service. They are a locally, or not local, but they are a traded company on, I don't know if they're on the stock exchange or NASDAQ, but they're a public company. And there was an Echo sitting on the table beside them, and I was like, wait a minute, please tell me that these two are talking to each other. And they're like, absolutely, absolutely. So as it stands now, if you're an Uma subscriber, you can have the Echo read your voicemails, play back your voicemails for you, which is really kind of cool. And I was like, can you call with it? Can you call? Please tell me you can call. Just say, hey, keyword, call dad or call mom. That would be so awesome. They said, no, no, but we're working on it. I was like, that's what I needed. That's all I needed to hear. I think that would be a fantastic thing to work to do that. So
I don't think it's too far out. So
yeah.
and then we've seen a third-party battery come out for it too. So you can base that goes on the bottom because a lot of people complained they wanted to move these things around in the house, and of course every time you unplug it, you got to reset it back up. That's kind of a limitation in that. I think version 2 will come in with some kind of 10-minute battery backup. I mean they should have thought of that.
Well, the rumors are that it will have like an add-on, right?
Yeah.
Baby Echo or something. So I think that would be good.
Yeah.
But I have to believe too, as well as Echo has come on, I almost get the feeling that Apple is kind of laying in the weeds. I mean, I tell me if I'm wrong here, but I don't see much connectivity between Apple, Siri, and Echo. And when they get going with HomeKit, I doubt very much they'll want to have integration that way. So I think they'll dig in heavily in their camp. I think Microsoft with Cortana going across everything. I just have a feeling that the operating system guys, Apple, Google, and Microsoft are kind of laying low to see what happens, and that will probably be the biggest competition that will come at them.
I agree with you. I think, in my opinion, we don't, to me anyway, I don't completely understand where they're going with HomeKit because it's really not clearly defined. But if you use your imagination and you can figure out what's going to happen, with Siri integration and stuff, there's a huge potential there that would probably be the only thing I could think of that would come close to almost overnight giving Amazon Echo a run for its money, if they can figure out how to make all the connectivity issues work. To me, the power in what the Echo does is it's a specific skill set for each device, and there is hopefully the third-party providers have done a good job to provide that integration, and that's what's really key. If they can pull that off with some commonality, using the HomeKit stuff, then there's a huge potential there, but we just haven't seen it.
I also think the Echo works because it's simple.
Yeah,
right.
It's very simple.
They didn't try to overshoot. The phone can do any of the phones can do any of the stuff that the Echo can do for the most part, right?
Except it doesn't. It'll do the voice control stuff right now, but they don't bridge into those applications very well.
No, right on. That's why. And even some of the things like when I want to create a shopping list, or when I want to add it to my to-do list, or I want a sports update, or I want some of those things it does, and it does really, really well, very specifically and very simply. And so while the phones are way more powerful, to be honest, and should have more capability, that's I think where the phones have missed on the UI, or have at least missed on the functionality piece to get it done, and should learn from the Echo to make them simpler. This is where I don't think Google will ever get it. Apple probably will. Microsoft could make a good run at it with Cortana. They really could scrap a lot of the stuff. Try to in other words, to try to keep up with Siri. Say no. Try and keep up with Alexa, right? And make your phones actually work from a voice command standpoint, because the Amazon came at it from voice first, as opposed to everybody else coming at it from a phone first.
That's the thing, is that there's basically the two sides of this particular element. You've got the voice recognition side, and then the actual execution of things that are happening on the in the background. And Cortana can do the voice recognition. Siri can do the voice recognition. Google can do the voice recognition, but none of them have bridged the back end. They haven't. I mean, Microsoft has a hard time with. And I'm not begging on them. I'm just saying they have you got to go through 85 mouse clicks to do that same level of thing that you just did with one voice. They got to work on that, because if they're going to go into this, voice actuated or voice control type applications, which I think is really going to, at least I'm now convinced it's going to be part of our future in a different way than I anticipated a few months ago. So they really got to kind of tighten that up a little bit.
Well, Mike, think about this. Think if they took the Universal Apps platform that they're kind of rewriting from scratch for the most part. I mean, it's got a lot of underlying technology there, but this new universal across PC and phone technologies, Internet of Things, those kinds of things. And you come at that from voice first. In other words, everything you do has to be voice activated or voice done first. And the developers, because it's brand new, right? The problem with Siri is that Apple has so locked down the infrastructure on the phone that Siri can't interact with some of the apps that are on there because they don't allow it to in the container environment that they live in, right? Android is just a mess, so that's never gonna happen. I shouldn't say never. It's just gonna be harder. So Microsoft could make a run at it.
They could, but here's the one drawback that I see is what you just described is basically saying, okay, we got to start today and reinvent the wheel, because they haven't approached it from voice first.
Right.
So far Echo's been the only one, at least that's inherently visible, that has done that. Now you could argue that HomeKit is like that, but we don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a closed garden. You can't get to the internal workings, but that's theoretically what HomeKit is supposed to do, right? It's supposed to provide you a bucket of an interconnect, sort of being able to bridge all that stuff, which we haven't seen actually happen yet.
Because I think they're trying to pull that code apart and make it. How do you take code that was so containerized to protect for security reasons? And now make everything share? I think that's Apple's fundamental problem, and I think they're having a harder time actually making that work than they thought.
Yeah, good point.
No, I agree, and I think for those of us who've played with home automation stuff, Mike with Insteon. I'm a smart things guy, but when friends ask what they should use, I always do you like to play with the stuff, or do you just want it to work? If you like to play with stuff, go smart things. If you just want it to work, go Insteon. And I verb it that way because, and I think in a lot of ways that's what's holding up HomeKit is Apple's audience, Apple's community expects things to just work, and it's that acceptance factor and the functionality. If Apple shipped something today that was like a smart things, their average customer would die. They would look at this like, this is not ready for prime time, it doesn't work. Whereas in the same vein, you head out to SmartThings community and people are excited that they were able to go in and tweak and tune and change things and make things work. So it's home automation is far from fully baked, and it's going to be a while.
Yes, they would die. They would all die if it was SmartThings. I thought I've been gonna die every once in a while. SmartThings, it's awesome when it works, and then when it doesn't work and leaves you in the cold, it's crazy.
But you guys keep talking about Echo. You have to believe that with Samsung owning SmartThings, all you're going to really need is a $5,000 refrigerator, and you'll just talk to the refrigerator, and it'll take care of everything for you. So Echo will be killed by a $5,000 refrigerator.
Yeah, and I looked at that.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I looked at that Samsung $5,000 refrigerator, and it's not all that. Let me tell you, it's not quite there yet.
My biggest takeaway from that, my aha moment of that, was actually kind of a totally different thing. Is I've got a all-in-one PC in the kitchen. It's kind of our main common area computer. But when I saw that big screen on the front of the refrigerator, it struck me that, obviously way overpriced for that screen, but in the same vein, and it might have just been the way I saw it, is Acer and Samsung and LG were showing their new monitors and how outrageously thin they are. And it just popped in my head is the refrigerator is the perfect place for your all-in-one PC. with these extremely thin monitors now, the idea of hanging one on the door of the fridge becomes very easy, and with things like the Kangaroo PC, you could easily mount that on the side of the fridge. So still a little kludgy looking, but you could come up with something and make the refrigerator the center of the room without a lot of work, and technology is coming quickly that way. So
I thought it was great, but I still don't know about wanting to have a screen or a touch screen on my refrigerator, and I do not know about that. Although it looked great. It did have cameras. If you got to open the doors, you could see the cameras inside for every single shelf. Now you think, oh great, it's going to tell me when I'm out of mayonnaise or mustard. No, it's not. It allows you to open an app and look inside the refrigerator while you're at the store to see yourself if you're out of mayonnaise or mustard. So we're not there. It's not there. Save your money. Upgrade something else right now. Don't buy that fridge. Although they did have a vacuum cleaner I thought was really kind of cool.
The Echo takes care of that pretty well, though, with its shopping list. I mean, we run out of stuff. Echo, add this to the shopping list. I'm not sure a fridge needs to do that for you. I mean, it's one of those kinds of things. If you can give a voice command and it works, hey, I see I'm running low on milk. Let's add milk to the shopping list, and it shows up where you can get to the list, and it works. I think that's good enough. I just don't think that's not a problem that needs to be engineered away.
Every fridge will do this at some point, somewhere, someday. Yeah. And if Amazon has anything to do with it, it'll order it from Amazon because they already have approved automatic ordering from different things, not just dash buttons, but automatic replenishment. Like I forget which printer it is, if it's Epson or whoever, but it can order its own inks, which is crazy scary. Speaking of, we're talking about some companies that we ran across that were kind of cool. We have reviewed the Channel Master before. The Channel Master DVR. Yes, we're going way far away from home automation, and we'll come back. Channel Master has a DVR if you're a cord cutter. And you hook an antenna up to it, and you hook right into your TV via HDMI, and you have a DVR for over-the-air broadcasts. Well, that's not new, Dave. They had that last year. But what is new is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dish Network and their Sling service. You can pay $20 a month for Sling, and you can get, I don't know how many channels it is, but it's quite a few channels, like a handful, like 20 channels. We're talking ESPN, like AMC, popular channels. And those channels will now come in to the Channel Master DVR unit. So not only do you get your OTAs, but you'll get your you can get your Sling service as well. It also hooks up to YouTube. Throw that out there. You can get YouTube, Vudu, Pandora, and stuff like that. And Mike, if I'm keeping you too long and you run out of battery, we'll just see you on the next show.
Yeah, I've got a little bit left, but it's going here.
And we're only 1 hour 7 minutes into this thing, so we've got 2 hours more of content, so you guys just hang on for the ride. Channel Master, so that's a great little service. You guys mentioned this company. I know Jim knows that logo.
Oh yeah.
If you don't know that logo, then
I got one of those too. Yeah, actually.
Then you can look at this stick here, Kangaroo PC. I heard you guys talking about Kangaroo PC on your show, Jim. And
we interviewed that guy.
I saw them at CES, and I dropped your name.
Good.
I'm a name dropper. Trying to get in the door.
Did they go? I don't remember. Still don't know who you're talking about.
No, they totally knew. I was blown away. Listening is cool, right? Listening to these podcasts is cool. You think, oh, that's neat. That's a neat concept. You got to go to the stores and get hands-on with this stuff. It's fantastic. And they had brought modules there that they're working on, right?
That would be
modules that are not available to the public, and I got to play with them and ask them all these questions, and I was like, guys, if you get this, this is great. Keep working on this one right here. And he's like, come here, look at this one. Like, yes, keep working on that one, please.
Yeah, they asked us during the show, so what kind of things would you like if we were, because they wouldn't tell us, but what kind of things would you like?
At CES, they dropped their pants.
Were they hot swappable, Dave? Did they show? Can you unplug? That the bottom of that's got. Did they show that?
Yes. Most of this stuff was offline, right? Offline playing with it, because they've got one running and they don't want to mess with that. They want to keep that running, but that is in their outlook, right? Yeah. To get that to that point. Kangaroo PC, really cool.
No, it's a cool deal. We took for the listeners of Home Server Show that haven't made their way over to Home Gadget Geeks, we've basically turned Mike Uyghur from an Apple fanboy into a Windows guy. I mean, he is seriously considered. He just built a pfSense router, and he's trying to build a Windows. Well, he's going to do FreeNAS now, but he was asking me at one point, how do I get Windows Server installed? And it's like, and he owns one of those Kangaroo PCs and has been super impressed with it. So. Interesting how that experience with Windows 10.
Turning that stuff off left and right.
Yeah.
Well, NAS sitting down here.
Yeah. Well, he wants to, but it's funny hanging around us. He's wanted to start moving in this Windows direction. So it just cracks me up. I heard him tonight. He did his Apple podcast, part of the Geeks Network, right? So Open Mic Night, an Apple kind of focused podcast. He was doing that tonight. But he was talking about tonight. He talked about his setting up his pfSense router. I almost said, hey, you want to join us on a Home Server Show tonight? Where we'll probably bring up pfSense. So,
to get through some of these products real quick, I had a chance to talk to Livestream.com. They have a product called Movie, M-O-V-I-E, or I-E. I'm just spelling M-O-V-I, and it is a baby little camera. And it is controllable with your phone or your tablet, and you stick it on a tripod, and you can have it like with you're looking at the app at the screen at what the camera sees, and you can touch someone's face and it'll go in, it'll pan in, and it's meant to be live, right? And it'll do group shots, or you can go to 2 people to 3 people, pan out, and it hooks up to the Livestream.com service. And I stood there and I was like, you just lost me right there. I said, you just lost me. He started smiling. And he says, I know why. Hey, Mike, it was good to have you on the podcast, man. We'll just catch you next week, and we'll get you with a little bit more battery.
Yeah, I made the mistake of forgetting my charger today. I usually come powered, but
it's okay.
I apologize for that. But it was great to be on the show. And
yeah, I know it was CES and home automation, but I thought it was great to have you, and we got some backup talk in there.
Yeah, well, maybe I can get back on sooner than 3 weeks like we did this time. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Jim.
Yeah, good seeing you, Mike.
And Kevin. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Take care, Mike.
Take care.
All righty. Bye-bye.
See ya. So Livestream.com, the ultimate Achilles heel to Livestream.com is what, Jim? It costs way
the dollars.
Much money. Dollars.
Like $70 or $80, right?
Yeah. A month.
Right.
A month. Yeah. Crazy. So that's why this guy was smiling, and he told me, I think I can say it. It was like, I don't think I'm NDA on that, $100 a year if you buy this camera, which is like $199 or $250 or something.
Yeah, that might work. Although that day may have passed. Like
this is live.
No, yeah. I get that. But
2 years ago,
right?
I'd be like,
oh yeah. I guess that ship may have already sailed when.
I'd be like, how many car batteries can I strap to this? Let's go.
Right.
I want 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today is like, I was excited about it, but I still wanted to show it to you. It was really
No. I think it's I love where we're headed with this. I mean, they're responding again. they sat very still for a long time, especially in the podcasting space, and have not really embraced. They didn't embrace the podcasters. They embraced the bigger media companies that were paying them to do live
6,000
streaming.
head churches.
Yeah,
That's who they were shooting for.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, "Oh, I'm done. You lost me. You're livestream.com. I didn't know you were livestream.com." And he was like, he knew because he's heard this. They've heard this and heard this, and they're really slow, but they're coming out and they're adjusting. So I'm gonna see. I don't know if they'll send us one of these because they're livestream.com, but I can try.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I've been toying on the behind the scenes. I've been toying with some, how do we get beyond the C920 and make that affordable for the average podcaster. So I've got doing some back end work to see what that looks like. But when we think of Hangouts and whatever the next iteration will be from Google, plus when we think of this new blab.im that we've been using for the last couple months on Home Gadget Geeks, you're kind of like, that whole landscape has changed. So it'll be interesting to see if they can adapt and kind of come back to it and make it work.
Yeah. Back to the home automation front, I know you guys have heard of a product called Ring. You've talked with those guys. Ring.
Yeah, we keep missing each other, but I'm trying to get them on. Yeah.
Very popular doorbell type camera type product. Well, maybe someone out there doesn't want to stick that big thing right there on their door or wherever it is, but you would still like some of the functionality of that. Now, I mentioned a company earlier called, no, I didn't. I didn't mention Zmodo. 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 And I'm going to show you a picture just for you guys. This is a piece of paper I stole from them. The one thing in the middle is, and I'll describe this to the podcast listeners, it is a light bulb base, the standard light bulb base. And what it has connected to it is a camera and a light bulb. And it also comes with a doorbell module, just a standard doorbell module that's wireless and you stick wherever you need. So in the places where you need to see who's at the door, you usually have a porch light there, right? You usually have one of those nice looking little light things where you can stick this in there, screw it in, and you've got a camera and an interactive light where you can, if you get a doorbell ring, you can turn that light on. At Halloween, it's LED. You can turn it orange, anytime you want. And you can also use the camera to look at people. I guess it depends on where your light fixture is. If it's behind them, maybe you might not want it. But I just thought it was ingenuitive. We'll stick a camera on a light bulb. I thought Zmodo.
No, it's a good idea because you're already out there. You can screw that in and pull power from there and Wi-Fi it into the house. And then
720p.
Because that Ring.com, that doorbell is big. I mean, that is a big beast to put on your front door.
It might not fit. People might not want it.
I don't know.
Two-way audio. You can be like, dude, who are you?
Yeah.
They'd be like, where's that coming?
I like the idea of moving that camera up into the light area instead of having, because I don't think you're still going to be able to get the porch, from there. In fact, that same unit could have you could have maybe 2 cameras or even 3 cameras to get a multi-purposed view of your front porch coming out of that light, and then it still serves the purpose of being a porch light, right? At that point, it's still got a light built into it. So it does that. Is that Dave?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a light bulb.
Right. So I like that. I like that idea better than I like the Ring.com idea. That it's just big and bulky, and looks, on a really nice house, Dave, like yours. It looks kind of gaudy. It's. And
you may be able to hide this and no one would ever know.
You could.
It's in a light.
Yeah.
Plus, you just hidden a camera.
Right.
If someone walks across, it starts recording. They don't know. But it's a light bulb.
The problem with all those have been the sensors and the proximity sensors, and I think that's a problem. Ring.com has that problem now. Mike Howard has one of those, and he says it either turns on for everything or he can't get it on for anything, type deal. So I think we got to get a little bit better with the sensor, and I think that'll come with the Internet
I
of
know a
Things
company
stuff.
that's doing that now that is really good at it. They're a French company. Kevin, you may have heard of Netatmo. Netatmo, Netatmo. They've got this new thing. I'm showing a picture of it if you're watching the video. It looks like a floodlight. It looks like one of those outdoor floodlights, but it's a security camera, and it recognizes people, cars, and animals. It'll tell you animal detected, car detected, person detected, and you can tell it, reject animals, reject cars going by, where a lot of times the things will alert if a car moves through the field or if the postman walks by. You only want to know if he walks up to your door,
Well,
right?
we have learning thermostats. Why can't these things learn, right? Why can't they come to our phone and for the
This
first,
thing,
yeah,
yeah, this company, Netatmo, I remember talking with them last year. They were showing an indoor camera, and when someone came in the room, it would do facial recognition, and it would tag that face with a known name in its database, right? So you had to learn it. But when someone came into your house that it did not recognize, let's say it's 4 p.m., you're not at home, but your kid's at home, and that camera just alerted you with an unknown face and a snapshot. You can just jump on your phone and say, hey, I didn't say that the neighbors could come over, right, or whatever. Or the pizza guys are getting a little too friendly on the front porch, you know? So,
I want to see what that looks like. Integrate that in with the Echo and have her. This is one of the things I think the Echo doesn't do really well is alerts, and it could. It could be more proactive and could connect in there, and she could tell you that kind of what's going on outside, or hey, someone is, someone because I recognize this person is now appearing at the front door. That would be super handy, right?
yeah. Now I gave Chris
So
Compton. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say the Z Moda you were talking about, they do have a product like Ring as well. It's called Greet.
Yes, they do. But I
but-
wanted to differentiate, right? That's why I showed the light bulby. This is not out yet, but their doorbell product is. I think it's shipping.
But like Jim said, that bulb idea is nicely hidden away. The other thing I think we're seeing is and so I'm with my homeowners' cars and everything is with American Family Insurance, and they've kind of gone on an automation quest with if you're with them in Minnesota, they'll give you a Nest Protect as long as you connect into the Nest system, which is basically they know that you put it in and it's you're using it.
Right.
And then they just did one with Ring where they're giving $30 off on a Ring plus a discount. So whether you like Nest or Ring isn't as important as now you're starting to see insurance companies realize, hey, there's some inherent value to this automation function of being able to quickly alert in case of smoke or fire, or the whole burglary route of being able to look at who's at your front door. So there's some cool trends, I think, happening around the technology with this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was about to mention I gave Chris Compton a little bit of heck early in the show about some of these things at CES are just products looking for an audience, and people throw things against the wall to see what sticks, but it spurs innovation, it spurs copying, actually. People improve on these things, so it's really neat. Take this show in, Kevin. You should never go to CES again, because I would never be able to keep up with you in the home automation section. You would go crazy. You would love it now. It has changed that much since we last were there together.
That's why I stay away now. It's best for me to stay away from there.
And then I'm afraid I would lose you in 3D printing as well.
There's a, not that we have time for it, but there's a great TED talk around innovation is all about copying, so get over it. And
Right.
it is this whole thing about, that's how we learn, that's how we make things better. So, but your point on, things that maybe aren't quite ready, but we talked a little bit about Luma. There's good traction in the forum about Luma.
That was
your
my
time
next.
How was your time with the Luma boys?
That's what I was going to throw out next in this thing and get it over with. But yes, I was able to talk with Luma. I got the press kit right here. I actually got hands-on with Luma. I don't know how many people can say that, but
Not
I was
many.
able to touch, feel, turn over, and I was less concerned about that product physically than I was the app. I asked them, I said, do you guys have the app handy? I mean, are we looking at it? Are we talking about it? And they're like, oh yeah, we got it right here. And so they start showing me, and I was like, okay, is it the app or is it just screens? Because you can make an app that is simply screens, just screens. And okay, they were working on some things, and they were like, well, you're an enthusiast, because they knew us, Kevin. They knew us. We have stirred up quite something in the forums. So it was really neat to talk with these.
Good.
A lot of people know HomeServerShow.com forums. I don't know if you guys listening know that, but a lot of folks do. If you're not participating in those forums, you need to get signed up. They know us out there.
Yeah, that's one specifically. I think every time I've asked them a question, I've kind of referred them back to the dialogue we've had back there, and they've been very responsive to my questions, and they do seem to. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of times people think the vendors don't look at the forums, and they do, and I think most of them find it to be a great place for them to get a better feel for what's going on with their
product and their technology. True. Most of them don't register and post, but they're there. Right. They are there. So they were just like bending my ear. You know, this was more like, okay, now that we have you, you're an enthusiast, but your enthusiast crowd is looking at our product, right? They were intrigued by this because this is not necessarily an enthusiast-based product. It is meant to go into multiple homes, multiple different homes, and be a solution to, you know, many problems of Wi-Fi, of security, of containment, kind of. And they were like, okay, you know, you're the enthusiast. Give me an idea of what you're looking at. And I was just like, all right, you're stumping me here. And I said, how about mapping ports? Every single enthusiast needs to map a port here and there. And I said, you know, in a web browser, Linksys router, it's just bam, we do it. And, you know, they were stumped for a second, and they said, where is it in the app? They were trying to find it in the app. And then I got to talk with one of the gurus, and they're like, it's right here. Boom. It's right here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there. So it was pretty neat. It's in, like, advanced. It's under advanced. But it looked great. I mean, there's no way to test Wi-Fi mesh networking, you know, in a CES hall. We have no idea if the thing works or not. But, you know, I was able to look at the product, look at a lot of the app screens, you know, identifying users, like a new MAC address pops under your network, and what do you do with that? And it's when I left there,
well,
Kevin,
I think part of the...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think part of the discussion with the enthusiast, and that was kind of my first few exchanges with their support group, they could kind of, it was that kind of that thing with, well, why are you asking this kind of a question? You know, you're not our target customer.
Right.
And what I've tried to help them understand is, hey, if I wanted and you know, we've talked about this in the forum, is I think a well-defined Sophos or pfSense or Untangle would probably be a better firewall, and Open Mesh for Wi-Fi would probably be a better Wi-Fi. But that's complex, and I travel a lot for work, and my wife doesn't want to hear me say I'll look at it when I get home. And so when Luma came up, it was like, well, hey, maybe this is that mid ground where I can get something for the home that I'm really comfortable with the security. And when you reviewed the Circle product, it's that monitoring aspect as well. So, my real hope is, and I say it in the forums all the time, I don't expect this to be better Wi-Fi than Open Mesh, and I don't expect it to be a better firewall than Sophos. And I don't necessarily expect the management to be better than Circle, but if it does well in all those categories, then, and it's something my wife can be the network admin for, it's a win. It's a big time win.
Well, you set it up pretty perfectly there. pfSense, Sophos on the outer edge of routing. Open Mesh, Ubiquity, some Ubiquity products on the outer edge of Wi-Fi, and this is just right in the middle of both. They got a little leg in Wi-Fi, they got a little bit over here in routing and security, and like a product I just recently reviewed, purchased for myself, Circle. A Wi-Fi security product for your home. I still use that today. I wouldn't have stood behind my review and purchased it if I didn't. I love the product. It's great. Especially when my kids are like, Dad, can I have another hour on Minecraft? Like, son, I'm looking at the app and you're, 4 hours in on Minecraft right here. What's going on? It's the weekend, Dad. It's snowing outside. I need some Minecraft. So,
crack for the brain.
What I couldn't get out of these guys was when am I getting it?
Yep.
Ship it to me, because I was converted. I talked to them for quite a while, and I was converted. If they had a credit card machine there and were letting boxes go out, I would have bought it right then. One product I didn't get to see, and I couldn't find them. I couldn't get a response from them, which I was a little concerned about, was Eero. Eero is my Wi-Fi purchase of choice, which was supposed to be, I bought it about 1 year ago right now, and it's supposed to ship in February. So they still say it's supposed to ship. I also visited another product that I purchased, I backed, and it's a product called Nuimo, Nuimo. And Nuimo is a knob. It's literally a knob, and it's you can do gestures over the knob, or you can push the buttons, or you can swipe over it. It's like this touch interface knob, a knob, and you can hook it to different things. So we'll see what good it's going to do me, but I purchased it already. I'm supposed to get it, and they were real fun to talk to. I talked with Flick. Flick makes a button that you can assign different things, and they've done a partnership with Domino's, almost like Amazon Dash. There's a Domino's Flick. It comes in a little baby pizza box. It's real cool, and you just push that thing, and boom, Domino's guy's bringing you a pizza. Well, he's bringing you cardboard with.
I need a Starbucks button in my car. That would be the just because I'd be app.
He pulls up beside you. Roll your window down. Here.
Exactly. Like I've been using the app, but it would be. I order the same thing every time, so a button would work. Nicely. Just hit the button. I get close, hit the button, or better yet, a proximity sensor that says.
I get close.
It just automatically order it. Or
and they're like, Jim C.
Or ask me. No, they recognize me now. I walk in the door, and they see this internet order for Jim, and I walked in the door yesterday, and I don't do it every day, maybe once a week, and they're like, "Hey, Jim, here you go," and it's fun to watch the other customers because they're like, "What? They're standing there waiting.
Do they come up from their phones?
Yeah.
He must be a big deal. He's a big deal. He must be a big deal.
Exactly.
They know him.
What was that drink?
To get back to this idea, the proximity sensor with an echo in the car that says, "Hey, you're getting close to your Starbucks and you normally order. Do you want to order today?" That would be super convenient if it just asked me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could say, "Yeah, order me one."
Android Pay is pretty close to that, Jim.
Yeah.
If I go into Kroger, it will put in my drop-down drawer my rewards card.
Yeah.
I don't even have to open the app. I just drop down the drop-down drawer and show it to them, and they pull up their scanner and they beep my phone, and my rewards card is done.
I think Wallet will do that as well on the iPhone, where you can load some of those things in.
Proximity based, yeah.
But for me, I need a verbal. I want it to talk to me. I want it to come. I want it to interrupt in the car and say, "Hey, you're getting close. Here's your. It's in the morning. It's your Starbucks." I can. Exactly. Exactly.
Jim, you did not use a turn signal. -5.
Chastising the way I drive.
So
Enough of that.
So to end all this good fun with coffee, HSS headquarters is moving. We're not going back to Wisconsin. We're not doing anything crazy. We've just upgraded. It's about, I would say, 7 to 10 minutes away. For you guys visiting from other places to come to headquarters to see, the podcast studio, I think it'll be fun. We will definitely do that next meetup. So I have to have a meetup. And it's just an upgrade for us. I mean, a long story that, when we were moving out here, we had to make a decision like this, right? We put an offer on a house. It fell through because of a lot of stuff. And then we got this house, like quick. And it's a great house. I love this house. It's beautiful. I know you guys that have been to it, I hope that you thought it was a good house, but it's just not meeting some of those requirements, right? We need some different things.
Well, the important question is, do I have my own room still?
We have more rooms, Jim.
Wow, nice.
If it's possible, I know some of you that have seen it can say, hey, more rooms? How can you have more rooms?
Awesome. Well, hey, as long as I get my own room still when I come for the meetup, I'm pretty happy.
It also has a poker room.
Ooh.
Poker.
That'll be nice.
So.
All right,
you're set.
I'm in. When are we doing it? September what?
September. Let's do it. And what I do is, if you're an admin of Home Server Show forums, we will we'll offer you a room, or a mod. You might have a room waiting here at headquarters. So.
Sweet.
Nice.
So I will definitely tell you guys more about that. I have not moved, so I'm still here in the studios. But if you can look behind me, you've seen previous shows. Things are a little different. Things are moving slowly and surely over there. But back to coffee. I finally have purchased my espresso machine.
Man, my world is complete now, Dave. Thank you.
I am hoping that I will be able to do an unboxing for you. But I want to turn it on at the new house. So I may do the unboxing over there and set it on the counter. And I'll probably do a couple of videos. And this is going to work into the new Dave, right? This is going to work into the way I do videos in the future. And I have some videos shot, and I can't wait to share it with you. I have not had the time. I've mixed up some of it, but I'm still trying to work on my videography, right? The app that I use for videography. Honestly, I tend to like the Apple apps more than the Windows ones, but it is what it is. I want to do it on my Surface Book. So I want to share video with you, and I'm going to unbox this thing. I've looked until I'm blue in the face. I thought I was going to buy a $2,000 espresso machine. That's what I was prepared to buy, the espresso machine, right? Mm-hmm. I got cold feet. Mm-hmm. This is one that you can adjust the pressures, you can do a small pressure to begin with, a big pressure, and then a small pressure, right? That's pretty foofy coffee right there. Pretty foofy coffee. I opted for the coffee machine where you go, beep.
Just push the button.
You push the button.
Grinds it, hacks it, pushes it.
Hacks it, spits it out, and gives you a double shot of espresso.
It's gonna be great. The whole meetup, I'm gonna be just shaking because I'm just gonna be drinking espresso
We might
drink.
bring it with us, Jim. We might just plummet wherever we're at. We're gonna plumb that thing in.
Making coffee.
Bring it down.
Yes,
it's gonna be awesome.
It was much cheaper too.
Good.
Even though it does more. It's a brand new one, so I will share that with you later.
Awesome. That'll be fun.
I'm like a proud papa. I can't wait for it to get here. So.
Dave, before we go, one of the things I've been working on over the Christmas break, installed Server 2016 on the N40L. So
nice.
For folks who are, the 2011's gone. I'm all cut over to 2012, although I'm not using it for backup. We talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Still really handy. Still a great VM box. 2016 is up, running on the N40L. Runs pretty well. I'm having a few issues with it, so I got some things to work out, but that'll be some future chat as we go forward. That will release here in the fall into its full version, and so it looks amazingly like Windows 10. But we'll bring that in from time to time as we get through the spring and summer.
Yes, absolutely. We will definitely have that as a topic because that's going to be in the forefront. And I'm impressed it's on the N40L.
It works. It actually runs pretty well.
Nice.
That's a scary thing. It's like I said, I have a few hiccups, and I don't know if I have everything configured right. But that's a nice box to test this on because it's super low power, and you get the 4 drives that are in there. And I upgraded it to an SSD drive. It had always been, the 2011 had always just been a spinner. So it got an SSD drive, and that seems to be helping with it. 4 gig of RAM, and we'll see what it does. It's running.
Nice. I may have to do that with my 54.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, the 54 would be fine. And for us, the advantage, right? We get that available through MSDN.
Right. Yeah.
So although I think some of that it might be open public beta because they're opening some of that up.
Some of it's out there, yeah.
Yeah, but worth a look, and we'll be talking about it.
Good.
Forward.
I have come so far that I have a Synology NAS at my feet because I tearing down my server racks. The 2012 R2 Essential server is torn down and is actually been moved. It's sitting in a basement, cold and lonely, no power. So that's how far I've come.
It's a sad day. No, everything's moved over to 2012 for me, and 2012 R2 for the most part. And
awesome.
That's working great. We got some stable bit drive pool going on that thing. It is just a Core i3 box, just a workhorse now, and that has been up and running and is stable. And I'll run that the next couple of years as we go forward with it. I think I can get a couple of years out of those drives and out of the Drobo still continues to hang around too. That's filling that thing up with movies and so yeah, we keep doing it. It's I don't know if there's a lot to talk about in that space, but we keep doing it.
Awesome. No, we will absolutely. And Kevin, I'm saving this for last. I might be breaking some NDAs. So I talked with D-Link. D-Link has a router, and they have a little baby access point, and they talk together and they mesh. That's going to be released. I don't know when. I can't remember. But you're also going to be able to buy another little baby access point and mesh those together too. So D-Link is coming around. So I got a private tour of their facility. They had a little press room, and they had some new cameras. So think about another prominent camera maker that records to the cloud, and they sell them in a box of 3 and 5, and they're not perfect. They're cloud-based, but they're still good cameras. People like them. They stick to things, and so I'll just leave that there.
There you go.
Break some NDA. So especially if you're Synology or a QNAP guy, you might like these because you can address them directly.
That's all good.
It was great to see that. So great to see that. So thanks for joining me, Kevin.
You bet.
We'll get you out more when we're doing some home automation and stuff.
Sounds good.
Get you to teach me some better backups of my PCs with all those software programs you guys use. All right, thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Dave. Good luck on the move. Let's try and do these a little sooner.
Thank you, sir. We will do that. No more moves for me. This is the last one until my kids graduate.
Don't say that. Don't lie.
We'll probably be doing this podcast
now.
as my kids graduate. But
it's all good.
hey, thanks for sticking with Home Server Show. I know it's been a while since we podcasted, but thank you very much for looking. Go out there to YouTube and subscribe, please. YouTube.com/Home Server Show. Subscribe to those videos, and I'll publish some more. Thanks for joining episode number 294. We'll see you in the forums. Wow, that was a long one. Thanks, YouTubers. Need to make 30, Dave. Need to make 30 what?
Don't know. 30-something.
Oh, he typed something,
I got to
but
run
I
and
can't
put my
say that name.
daughter.
Sorry, Kev.
I got to run and put my daughter. That's okay. I got to run and put my daughter to bed. So I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.
See you, Scoon. I think I'm going to go make a decaf.
Yeah. It's good to do one of these.
Yeah. Hey, you two, I'm going to hit the button. See ya. Subscribe,
Peace out,
please, if you watch this far. You got to subscribe.